is iRacing.
After last week's closest finish in Saturday broadcast top split history at Daytona, the drivers go from a wide draft track to the intense, complex challenge of Laguna Seca. Which drivers will tackle the turns with ease today, and which drivers will fall afoul of the dense 54-car traffic on this tight track? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 10 of the iRacing IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Our director is Christian Deploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. A true classic on the calendar, Laguna Seca has some of the most famous and infamous turns in motorsport. To find out more about this storied track, let's take you down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
Well, Craig, this place has a long, storied history in the United States and a little bit under threat now in the real world, but we can still race it with a clear conscience here in the simulator. How are the IMSA Vintage cars going to handle it today?
Sorry, I can't hear you from all the locals complaining about the noise at the track. No, welcome to Laguna Seca. That joke is gone over the head. Fantastic track. We all talk about the corkscrew. And if you saw Will Buxton go down the corkscrew for the first time ever, I think you get the idea of what his words were. I can't repeat them. But to get there right there, you actually have to deal with the rest of the track. And one of the things about this track is all about speed. You can lose speed at 3, 4, 5, and 6 if you don't do it fast enough, which means for these GTOs, you have to be careful with the braking here. And it's the same with the GTPs. You get up to turn 6, danger zone for multi-class traffic. Keep your eyes on that. Some drivers will go in for late lunges, and then the corkscrew, you just have to hope. These corners are all about momentum here today in both classes, and with a hot track out there, that momentum is crucial.
Another place where momentum is crucial is in the points. Jacob Reed, having all the momentum, has only finished further down than first twice this season. Once was the 3rd round, the second was the 8th round. But he's won the race every other time. But the driver who beat him last time out, Valenteus, is here to challenge him again. Shady Ahmad is back by about 41 points, so Jacob Reed pretty secure for the championship at this point. Nick Bakanos recovered from Charlotte to finish in the 2nd position last week, and then it's a distant Christoph Olesniak battling with Iko Kodosalo, separated by 11 points. That's the battle for 4th position. 1 point separates Kodosalo and Brendan Lim for 5th position. And then it's Gabri Martinez, Pepe Fuentes, Jack Wells, and Brandon White rounding out your top 10 in the GTPs for points. What about the GTOs, Craig?
GTO's drop weeks will start to come in, but 2 of the drivers at the front, they don't have any drop weeks to play. So Van Hicks leads at 164, and then flip those 2 numbers at the end. Mickey Fries at 146. What a performance that was of Van Hicks last week at Daytona. last to first, and then Noah Lundberg we get into third position. Then the rest of the field battling hard. Henry Morse in fourth and 114, Philip Lake 106. Josh Brain there on 101, and Doug Cloud also there in seventh with 100. Shane Hawkins in a little bit of limbo on 92 points in eighth, and then tied for ninth and 10th. Roman Bello and Andreas Schuster in reverse order. And just a shout out to Yoni Hagner, 1 point behind them in 11th, and he is here today as the top car in GTO.
As far as race details, it's round 10 of 12 for these drivers. They're here at Laguna Seca for 40 minutes, so we're back to our standard sprint format, and that's going to be a blessing today. We'll tell you why in a moment. Open setups for these cars, so you can set up the car however they like or dislike with no spare vehicle for them. So if you get into that silt that's on the outside of this track and end up in the wall, you're going to be carrying that damage home with you the rest of the race. A drive-through at 17 incidents and an additional penalty, which is a disqualification at 25 incidents for these drivers. Craig, this is a challenging race class during the best of times when you've only got 30 cars on the track, but today, 54.
Yeah, you could say that over and over again. 54 cars. Now, the split here is actually a little bit even more chaotic. It's not an even split. 33 of these drivers today are in these Nissan GTPs as we watch Gabriel Martinez go over the hill and hard into the corkscrew. And if you want to do your maths, well, I don't need to do quick maths for you, but if we've got 54 cars and 33 of them are GTP, that means 21 of them are GTOs. So traffic won't be, well, normally as hectic. But when you've got a track this small, and right now, even on qualifying, and I know it's local qualifying, if every car was out there on track right now, there's no space on the racetrack right now. There's no clear gap, apart from the rundown from turn 3 into turn 4 as Gabriel Martinez comes down and sets a competitive time to start.
And if you know this track, the gap between 3 and 4 is a very small short shoot, so a lot to do here. Jacob Reed setting the provisional fastest lap. Andres Valentis is out making qualifying runs right now. The question is, will he actually set a time? He did last a first challenge in Charlotte and blew us all away with that one. Put some pressure onto Jacob Reed such that he made an error, a rare error for Jacob Reed that forced him into an accident. He only got 7 points that day. Henry Morse down in 5th position on his second lap. He's only 7 1,000ths behind Mickey Friesen, who's only 1 1,000th behind Cal Young, and that's for the top 3 in the GTOs. Cal Young, though, jumps up to provisional pole position, more than a quarter of a second clear of Noah Lundberg, so a great lap for Young. Looks like Henry Morse slowing down a little bit there. Thorben Pollock diving through the corkscrew to finish out his lap.
And Valenteus comes across the line, and it's 7/100th slower than Jacob Reed. So he's going to have to go and use his second lap to see if the number 1 car can pip the number 2 car into qualifying. We keep our eyes on Thorben Pollock as well, as you can see the differences now in the speed and the flow. And these flowing corners, really nice for these GTOs. Usually we don't talk about it, but it's that 3, 4, and 5 where you have to just feather the throttle and feather the brakes. Really work. Pepe Fuentes now going close. We're having a really close qualifying here on a track that really shouldn't be that far, that tight. Valenteus with an off track, and that's an off track with Valenteus. I just see it on my timing screen.
That's not good news. That means that he will not have a chance to take pole. Jacob Reed did not improve on his second lap. The temperatures are high around here, so the tires overheating very quickly for these drivers. But Valenteus getting that off track means that he's not going to get provisional pole position if that off track did register in his sim as well as ours. Let's see what happens as he crosses the line, but we're pretty sure that that off track will mean that his second lap will not count, and that will put him in 3rd position. Crosses the line, and he does improve though. So that off track did not count for him. That puts him still not in the lead. He is 3 1,000ths of a second behind Jacob Reed.
Look at the times of the top 3 as Lesniak's coming around for his time. 1:23 left in the qualifying of some of these drivers yet to set it. And I think they were trying to look for a colder track. Well, unfortunately, it's 12:21 midday sim time, which means it's going to get hotter and hotter. It's 39 Celsius, 103 Fahrenheit. Humidity is also going to play some factor here as well. And of course, this is an old scan of Laguna. A lot of this gravel and dirt and dead grass and all that is gone. Very wide for Lesniak. I think that might be a slowdown, not a slowdown, an off track. He's not taking that last corner very smoothly, so I wonder if that's it. Not a good qualifying for Lesniak. He'll come across the line. It does not count. He'll be stuck down in 12th.
It's rare to see this kind of humid day in California. 77% humidity out there for those drivers. So on this hot of a day with this hot of a track, that is a sweaty track. So the drivers probably happy that they're racing in their sim pits at home and not actually in these vehicles. Estrasio Alvarez off track there, deciding to take a run, see how the silt feels under the tires. Tano Benotti is one of the drivers who has yet to saw a qualifying time, unfortunately on their 4th lap, so they will not get a qualifying time in during the rest of this qualifying session. The only driver who could possibly set another qualifying time would be Carlos Fonseca, but he is actually parked at the moment. So Antonio Alvarez going out to start the qualifying times, but with 3 seconds left on the clock, that will end qualifying. Craig, it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers tackle this today. Let's take you through, though, the GTP field. It is going to be Jacob Reed leading the field to the line with Andres Valenteus outside of him on row 1. Row 2 is going to start off with Pepe Fuentes behind Jacob Reed, and then it's Sean Langdon who's going to line up on row 2 next to Fuentes. And then we've got Brendan Lim on row 3. Gabriel Martinez and Brendan Lim on row 3 with Farron Grau and Laust Olsen on row 4. Shadi Ahmad and Matthias Hovdahl round out your top 10 for the drivers in the GTPs, and it's Gail Gonzalez on row 11, or rather row 6, with Christoph Olesniak in 12th position. Seamus Power's going to start off 13th with Ilka Kodasalo in 14th. Fabian Newbluth 15th. Davide Ricciardi back joining us again on row 8. Row 9 is Carlos Peralta and Stefan Leslie. Jason Keddy on 19th position, and Brandon White starting off in the 20th spot. 21st is Carlos Lopez C, with Pablo Suarez starting off in 22nd. Row 12 is Andre Felipe Diaz with Martin Rijman. Then the top 30 are rounded up by Daniel Nans, Mark Geller, Frederic Begin, and Carlos Fonseca. Antonio Alvarez, the first driver to not set a qualifying time, with Jacob Mayo in 30th position. And then we got 3 more drivers, Tommy DeRuiter, Jack McCreesh, and Kate Hughes, rounding out your 33-car GTP field.
It's been a while since we've had to go to 33, but we'll look at the GTOs. And Caljon Noel Lundberg, they have smashed the fastest lap time in qualifying this week, but Young beat Lundberg's time to get 1 and 2. Josh Brain will be 3rd with Mickey Friesen in 4th, and then it's Henry Morse in 5th, and Jonny Hagner will be in 6th. Philip Blake will be in 7th, followed by Shane Hawkins. He'll be alongside him in 8th. And then Doug Cloud will be 9th with Ian Haycox in 10th. A little bit of an old school row there. And we get to the second page, though. And from old to the young boys, Emilio Dicciari and Forbin Pollock, 11 and 12 respectively. Tim Gaudry will be in 13th. And Aitor Sintez Galindo, he's enjoying this now. He said he likes the GTO. Well, he's there in 14th position. Bruno Santamaria will be in 15th with Jamie Hamill-Smith in 16th. And then it's Johan Van Hicks. Yes, Johan Van Hicks, not the best of qualifying times, in 17th. Estucio Alvarez in 18th. Richard Heinemann will be 19th. Andrew Lopez, the last of the time qualifiers today, which means on their own at the back of the field, Tano Benotti will be there in 21st for your 21 GTOs.
Lots of drivers in this field, and many drivers who are out here. There, we have actually probably about 4 or 5 drivers who have stated in the race chat that they're out here for the first time for a race. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. Lots of drivers asking for predictability, as we see Jacob Reed leading them to around the track with the Porsche pace car. You can see Valentinus leaving a big gap to Jacob Reed to start this one off. 105 degrees Fahrenheit on track. That's 41 Celsius. That's pretty wild considering that the air temp is only 69 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 Celsius. That is a delta of 21 degrees Celsius on track. That means that the sun is absolutely baking today. Craig, this is going to be an interesting race for all the drivers given how thick the field is.
It will as well. And to be fair, we've got to also look at the wind. It's in kilometers. For me, it's 22 kilometers westerly at the moment, now northwesterly. And that equates to about a 15 mile an hour wind, which is actually noticeable. And if you think it's coming from the west, that means they're going to be getting a headwind going up the Rahal Strait into the corkscrew. That's going to be scary. They will get a tailwind on the start-finish line. They don't really care because they need... Well, they're actually probably going to misshoot and undershoot the corkscrew if that wind is going to be hitting them.
Absolutely, and that means that they're going to overshoot turn 1, and you can lose so much time doing that. If you overshoot the corkscrew, it's a bumpy ride down to the bottom of it, but you don't lose that much time. Missing turn 1, that can lose you 3 to 5 seconds because it's so dusty out there. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the drivers handle the wind, if they're prepared for it. It was pretty windy during qualifying, but there you see the Porsche pace car pull off. It has to go around the corner before it crosses its control line, so Jacob Reed has to wait a little bit before he can go, and he's waiting, trying to catch Artis Valenteus out. Usually it doesn't work, but this time it does. He does catch Valenteus out, and so does Pepe Fuentes, making a great start from third position, following Jacob Reed through the first turn. Now into the diving turn where you can see Artis Valenteus sweeping around the outside, trying to take that position away. It's a fairly clean start for the GTPs. What about the GTOs, Craig?
Oh, Cal Young, what have you done? Cal Young, they started in the green flag at the corkscrew. There's a big gap here for the GTO to the GTPs. We'll get the traffic pretty quickly, but no changes. Everyone has kept it clean at the moment, even through the final corner at turn 11, and now we get a rundown at the front of the field, and it looks like Lombard gets the overtake there that he wanted, and now Young's going to try and respond. He doesn't. In the background, Benotti up 3 places already. Heinemann in the background just spinning around, and Van Hicht up 2 already for himself.
Each of these fields would be a proud field for a single class race, and we have 2 classes out there today, and they'll start clashing probably in about 2 laps time, given how far behind the GTOs were for that start. We're taking a look at Brendan Lim, all the way down in 17th position to start this race. Usually a top 10 contender. It's going to be survival mode for all these drivers today. Try and just keep your car going in the right direction and without a lot of contact. Gabriel Martinez making a move on Sean Langdon for the 5th position, trying to get up ahead of Farron Grau and Sean Langdon for 4th position. You can see side by side between Gabri and Sean. Gabri has to back it off after going wide through turn 1.
Yeah, the Andretti hairpin's almost like a double apex there for a hairpin. And Gabri tried to get a really good run through the first part of it, could not get it. He's going to be very aggressive into 4 and gets it done. Almost touching, and you can see Langdon have to go on the defense here. Can't do it. Farron Grau will get on by before turn 5. That Brendan Lim moment, and this is going to be interesting for this upcoming moment at the corkscrew, lost control with cold tired and gravel kicked up onto the track. Here it is. Just there, you see the gravel just come up. That's enough to just upset those cold tires. And I'm looking, the gravel's finally cleared up from some of the drivers, but that's going to be a decisive factor here at Laguna today at the corkscrew. Some of these drivers making mistakes will kick up a lot of gravel there.
Daniel Nons takes a spin at turn 6, I believe, so unfortunately off track, rejoining, dragging some gravel back on track ahead of our GTO. There's a double onboard of Mickey Friesen and Doug Cloud as they're both battling side by side. We got to see both of their faces in consternation as they had this battle, but look at this, another driver up the inside, that's Joram Van Hicks having a battle, as well as Henry Morse.
Yeah, it's Henry Morse there right behind. He almost made the move. Is that a misshift from Friesen? It is indeed. And that's going to mean they're going to go side by side as Friesen and Morse. I'm not entirely sure what Mickey can do, and he just gives up. And he's just keeping his eyes safe. And look at the gravel that they see. Even here on the exit at the bottom at 8A at the corkscrew. It's a lot of gravel in that. You've got to feel that the moment you turn in, you get on the throttle at the corkscrew. So you won't get a lot of wheel spin unless you overshoot and have to kill some of that speed. So it's going to be interesting to see later when it comes to multi-class if some drivers do catch the throttle on those bits of gravel there, because that's going to spell danger. But here you go. You've got the top 2 together in both classes. The rest of the field, they're fighting for the scraps.
Oh, we had Christoph Lesniak go around at the GTP, so Lesniak now recovering. I can report it's still about 3/4 of a second between Jacob Reed and Andres Valenteus at the front of the field. That closes down to under half a second under braking. They're already dealing with some lapped GTO traffic. And honestly, Craig, our leaders are there. They are to the back of the GTOs. They'll start running into them as they take the first left-hander out of this sector.
And look how much gravel on the exit there of the Andretti hairpin, on the middle of the Andretti hairpin. So they're going to be looking at this right now. Now we know Valenteus was a dicing machine when it comes to traffic. We all know how good he is. We know how good Jacob Reed is. He's really shown his chops the last real half of the season. Really started to just put in the work. Well, come to the first man. It's Benotti was the first of the main pack. A little bit of hesitation there for Reed. Valenteus won't be able to go for this. He'll just put his nose in to say, I see you. I'm going to set myself up. Can't set himself up. Jacob can't get on the throttle right away because there's Hamill Smith. Santa Maria had a slowdown as well. They're both going to be packed up here. And who gets the better run of it? Whoa, it was almost Valenteus.
Absolutely. We're about to watch these two masters of traffic cut their way through the back of this field. That's Aitor Santos Galindo. They're slicing their way around. Galindo, not a great qualifying for him, puts him back into the 15th position right now. But here is Tim Gaudry that they're going to make their way around, and now they're into the thick of it. Joram Van Hicks, not a great start, not a great qualifying again. 13th position on the back of Emilio DeChari and Thorben Pollock. Ian Kaycox just up the road from them. Oh! Jacob Reed clipping the inside curb. That sent him a little bit wide and got him a little bit loose. He was able to recover. Andres Valenteas saw it coming and did not get into the back of him.
Man, you could have this on in just some ASMR. You could just watch this without us talking, watch it without any conversation here, because look at them. Make decisive overtake, make decisive move, wait and go, and you can think Valenteas has lost a little bit of time. And here's a danger move from Jacob Reed. Oh, right on Shane Hawkins, and that's actually held up Valenteas. That's a danger corner for multi-class racing because of the speed differences. The GTPs will be carrying more speed to get to the corner, and they can't scrub it off as much as those GTOs. But that mistake from Reed just allows Valenteas back in, and now they're up to P8. Doug Cloud, you think they've done half a lap, and they're already through almost 30 of the 33 cars. Philip Lake will be the next one. Valenteas has to follow. Philip realizes that, and he's gone wide, has Reed. That shouldn't hurt, though.
Absolutely. We're watching Seamus Power and Gail Gonzalez as they duke it out through the mid-pack of the GTOs as well. Seamus Power able to make some opportunistic moves on Gail Gonzalez through the corkscrew, and now the GTP pack, the thick of it, is getting into the thick of the GTO pack, and this is going to start to separate any GTO battles that were happening. Because of the size of the GTP field today, the GTOs are going to be severely disenfranchised by the passing GTPs. They will not be able to stay together and have their battles until the GTPs come through, but by the time they do that, the lead GTPs will be right back to their back bumpers. So there's going to be about half a lap of time for them where they'll be able to have their battles alone, and it's going to be all traffic management from that point on. From Gail Gonzalez all the way back down to Davide Ricciardi in 19th position. That is 9 positions. We've got a GTP pack. Look at this. Valenteas and Jacob Reed trying to find their way through at the corkscrew.
Well, while that's happening, Van Hicks and DeChari going side by side, going up the hill, and they're having GTP traffic going by. But these are the leaders, and they are now through of the traffic. And now it's just a straight-out duel once again. They can breathe for another 3 laps, it's safe to say. Only one issue with the GTO so far, and that was DeChari getting pushed a little bit wide, as we saw an overtake. Brendan Lim losing a couple of places. It's Gonzalez, losing a couple of places. For all to be said, Adam, and I'm knocking on wood, one car was already in the pit, so we had 20 of the 21 runners.
Oh, sorry, we've had a wreck. 19th position, it's it's Antonio Alvarez and I believe it's Pablo Suarez who got together, and they're just recovering right now. They collect with them Josh Brain, who had a little bit of an issue. We're looking at Daniel Knotts as he's tucked in behind him. He sends another car around, and here comes the chaos, Craig.
Well, I was just saying we were having a clear run, and when another car spin, Alvarez come in for repairs. We'll look at the replay in a moment, because that is a issue that you would normally see when it comes to multi-class racing. More drivers off as well. I have cursed everybody. I apologize. That was meant to be a really clean run through the traffic first time by, and the back of the GTP field just didn't get the memo. It feels like a little bit of chaos, and it was also just that key P word, Adam. Patience. They just need a little bit of patience out there.
Brandon White trying to make an outside move around Andre Felipe Diaz for the 21st position. Brandon's going to get that secured before they dive through with the quick left-hander, but then he goes off track. He takes it too deep into the cut, and he ends up going off track and losing that position, but that does not allow Diaz to break free. That's Tommy DeRuiter who's going to try and tuck in behind Felipe Diaz and put some pressure on as they head down through the corkscrew. Jacob Mayo goes off track at the top of the hill. My goodness, Craig, these drivers can't keep the cars on track.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a lot of overspeed. Also, the track has gotten super hot now, Adam. 42 Celsius, 107 Fahrenheit. And I wonder if that's caught a few of the drivers off. And now Gail Gonzalez going a little bit wide. It's a little bit of a kink there going in as Gail Gonzalez holds on as well into his little battle. And this is just getting a little bit chaotic now. Everyone just needs to have a little bit of a breather. They know that they need to keep fighting, and these two keep on fighting. 5 seconds up the road is Alvarez, who is just serving a slowdown. Next lap, the leaders will be back into traffic, and they're 6 seconds ahead of Pepe Fuertes. Just a casual 6 seconds after 8 laps.
Absolutely. So Noel Lundberg, we're looking at our leaders in the GTOs. Noel Lundberg tucked in 7/10 behind Cal Young. How he's managed to do that with all the traffic coming through and maintain that small of a gap, I have no idea. This is one of those races where honestly I'm looking in my mirror the whole time, but look at this. That's Brendan Lim going off track and getting in the way of Cal Young, our current leader in the GTOs. But when did this happen? Our leader in the GTOs being Cal Young. This must have happened early on this lap.
Yeah, Andretti hairpin. I think it was a case of Lumber going a little bit too wide into the hairpin and having to just yield for a little bit, as we now see Josh Brain. He's trying to make some moves here. He just lost P3 to Henry Morse this lap as well, getting a little bit caught out by the traffic as well. And that's just unfortunate. Real good showing here for Josh Brain today. I mean, real good time. Andre Felipe Diaz into the pits as well for repairs. And you're going to see that, but again, and I know the chat's going to say I'm commentating curse once again, we only have 4 cars not on their respective classes lead lap, just 2 cars in the pit. One's already been in the pits as well. It's looked chaotic, but they're keeping it tidy, and there's not a lot of damage to go, well, we're in trouble.
Taking a look now at Jacob Reed, who's down to that 3rd position, losing a lot of time to Valenteus, now tucked in behind Pepe Fuentes. I don't know whether you just mentioned it, Craig, because I was looking at some other details.
Spin at the corkscrew. It was a spin at the corkscrew of a lap GTO who lost control. I've just seen it. We'll have to check. There's a side panel. You can see where that GTO hit, Adam. There is a lot of damage. I'm sorry to interrupt. There is a lot of damage on that side panel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right in front of that rear right tire. And that's going to be causing some aero damage for Jacob Reed. Fortunately, aerodynamic speed is not the name of the game around this track, but he's having a hard time clinging to Pepe Fuentes at this point. I'll have to go on board and see whether or not he has any steering damage.
Well, the key thing is he does not have the mechanical meatball flag. That's one good thing, but now he's going to have to try and work this, and well, that spin has cost him 8 seconds. It's kind of hard to regain 8 seconds, but this is the scene of the crime, and he sees Tim Gaudry up ahead, and he's thinking, please, no more GTOs going off, and that's what happened. GTO just overshot the corkscrew. In fact, great replay here. Now, the GTO is probably spooked. I'm not sure what the GTO was doing there. There was time to slow down and wait for the opportunity to go. That almost looks like a little bit of a mistake. Oh my word, Gabri Martin is right behind Jacob Reed. It's just gone hello and surprise and almost took that away from Jacob Reed. Very dangerous move.
Absolutely. Going back to that GTO, I'm going to have to hold off on that a second. Gabriel Martin is looking for an opportunity. They're going past Bruno Santamaria right now. Santamaria goes wide through the corner, and they're bringing in Farron Grau into this battle as well, as we see another off-track GTP of Kate Hughes. So they have to make their way past that. They have to deal with... This is one of those races, Craig, where they're going to be dealing with the lap traffic of their own class just as much as the lap traffic of the slower class. They're going to have cars on 4 different laps that they're going to have to be going by.
Yeah, that's the first car they've had to lap on their class. Frederick Begin and Antonio Alvarez. Well, Begin is in the pits. Alvarez took an early pit stop to get some repairs done. So a lot of these drivers now, they're going to be meeting early on. You don't expect to overtake one of your own class in the first 13 minutes of a race. But there he is, and that is a trophy on the back of Gabri Martin as he wants to get onto the podium. It's going to be tight. There are some cars up ahead that they're going to have to watch out for. You see the 2 GTOs. They're going to try and split the atom here, and they can't do it. And because the inside is not open, Gabri just can't look for it there. But it's such a tight corner to look for a late lunge at the final corner at turn 11. Keep an eye out, though, because the traffic will get a little bit dicey. And funny enough, Adam, the traffic in the GTOs are all still together.
Absolutely. Most of them are still together. Cal Young only has a 7/10 lead over Noah Lundberg. Then it's 3.5 seconds back to Henry Morse, but he's got Josh Brain for company about half a second behind. It's only about 1.5 seconds back to Yoni Hagner in 5th position, who's got Mickey Friesen and Phil Lake, only 7/10 separating each other. But Cal Young goes around! Cal Young around at the top of the corkscrew with another lapped GTO.
Oh, and was it caused by the GTO? Was it just them?
Absolutely.
And it was. It was. And I've got to say, well, look at the replay, and the question here is, who's at fault there? Because you've got to feel that Cal was probably expecting the car to fully lift off. He went into the kink for the braking maneuver, and he goes off. Well, look at that in a moment, but yet again, we had 2 battles for the lead in both classes. They have now dissipated in the last 2 laps, and Jacob Reed is still battling on. That was Cal Young's best shot for a win this season, you've got to think.
Absolutely. While we were watching that, Gabby Martinez had a spin out of turn 5. So he recovers, but he's back down to 7th position. Lots of drivers starting to get onto the horn, being very frustrated with the driving standards out here today. And look at this, Jacob Reed going for an outside move around Pepe Fuentes. Jorn Van Hicks has gotten up to 10th position. We'll see if he can do a last to first challenge again today, but I think the cards are stacked against him. Jacob backing off a little bit. He's going to take away that apex from Van Hicks. He's got to stay attached to the back of Fuentes. They've now lost 2 seconds over the last lap to Valenteus, who's got a 9.5 second lead.
Yeah, it was always going to be a big lead the moment you realize. Now, this is Cal Young. Now, I know the 54 then, the 54 is Andrew Lopez. I know he lifted to let Cal go by. And then Cal starts braking and takes his normal line, and there is that little kink there. Now, the question is, if you want to play devil's advocate, did Cal get too close? Did he not leave gap? But at the same time, if he saw the driver slowing down and braking early, he probably would have thought the driver was being slower on the braking. So it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I'm not sure how to assign fault, but at the same time, we're told to be predictable, and I wonder who was predictable.
Sorry, Pepe Fuentes almost getting into the back of Doug Cloud through the hairpin, and this is going to give an opportunity to Jacob Reed in 3rd position to try and make a pass here. He's going to look to the outside, and Fuentes is going to defend to the inside. Jacob Reed, this pass is so hard to do in any vehicle. You have to keep that pressure tight onto Fuentes, but Fuentes powers out, but he gets a little bit wide. Look at this, Jacob Reed looking at the inside, can't find the gap. Fuentes covers it off.
Covers him off, and he did actually look for that for a moment. More gravel just getting kicked up. He looked for it for a moment, and I think he judged against it. And I'm also looking at the timing tower. Valenteus did not have a good last lap. He's not having a good lap right now. The gap is going down. There's no issues with the car. It's just the way that you look up ahead. Here comes the traffic. It's like that moment at the Interlagos Grand Prix where they came around the final corner and saw the massive black cloud of rain. But it's not rain they see, it's a train of GTOs and almost free wide because they were trying to guess where they were going. Yeah, Hagner goes around. Fuentes have to take a slowdown, and I think Reed is refusing to take advantage. But unfortunately, that is another GTO around.
Yeah, that was Yoni Hagner who got sent around by the battling Pepe Fuentes and Jacob Reed. Jacob Reed just didn't get too deep into the corkscrew. He couldn't brake anymore. The road falls away from you there. It's hard to see from our camera angles, but it falls away from you, so you can't apply the brakes anymore. You just end up locking up and going deeper into the corner. Jacob Reed on maximum brakes just gets into the back of Pepe Fuentes. Unfortunately, an unforced error for Reed ends up sending Yoni Hagner around. Hagner back to 6th position now after trying to recover from that spin at the hairpin.
Also, Cal Young had a little bit of a spin at the final corner, and as he tries to rejoin, he hit Shane Hawkins. Not the best thing in the world. Valenteus also having some rare words from Valenteus on the text chat. Not sure what happened there, but Jacob Reed continues to battle on. Now, look at the traffic. Remember we were talking about how qualifying there wasn't any open space? Only open space right now is exit of the corkscrew down into turn 10 and maybe turn 11. That's the biggest gap in the whole of the track. Very tight. And now Pepe, he's desperate. And he's going for one of those Lotus 79 late lunges. He had to get past that car to make sure he had a gap between Jacob Reed.
Look at this, Jacob Reed closing in. Farron Grau also on the back of Jacob Reed, just out of shot right now in the rearview mirror. These three still battling out. They're going past Andre Felipe Diaz and his damaged GTP. He's going to be on the inside of the corner, taking away the apex from Farron Grau. So Farron Grau's going to lose out to this battle. But Jacob Reed racing up towards Noah Lundberg. They're going past the leader in the GTOs, and that does not give them any break because then they've got Pablo Suarez who comes down on Pepe Fuentes' 2nd position, trying to take the standard apex. Fuentes did have his nose in there already. Jacob Reed trying to take advantage of the opportunity, going wide as they go past Richard Heineman in the 20th place GTO machine. They've now got Jacob Mayo up ahead, who almost spins it coming off of the corner. These are the troubles that they're trying to deal with here in the GTP class.
This reminds me of watching stock car racing in the UK years and years ago, because you get to one point and they have to have a safety car, and they literally have to get a guy on the track and point and say, "You are the lead car," and almost Pepe Fuentes, you want to slide, here goes Farron Grau through the middle, forget about the stock car racing, it's all Pepe Fuentes, splits the atom, and he keeps it on track with no slowdown.
Farron Grau snaking it up the inside of both of them. Through the middle goes Farron to take that position away into the braking of the horde, into the braking of the shoot, and my goodness, what an amazing move there from Grau to take that position away. What commitment and what amazing driving from the other drivers to see it coming.
Been a while since we've seen an iRacing moment in the GTP. I think we may have just seen an iRacing moment in the GTP. And now Jacob Reed, he's thinking to himself, well, I got past Pepe Fuertes, but what happened? I should be P2 right now. Fantastic from Ferran Grau. Shout out to Reed and Pepe, though, for holding on to that, because you saw Jacob had to lift. Otherwise, he would have gone into the back of Pepe after that slide. And that corner is not one you usually see a slide from. But drivers are taking so much liberties today, really being aggressive on the throttle, and that can happen. And now he's into P2, but he's 14 seconds away from Valenteas. I think he may have to accept the P2.
Yeah, I think the P2 is probably going to be the most that he can get today, unless Valenteas falls afoul of some issues, and there's no way that you could avoid them today. It's going to be, what problem are you going to have, not if a problem is going to happen, as we continue to watch Ferran Grau off of the back. Looking back at Jacob Reed, there are some other battles going on track right now. Sean Langdon is getting close to Pepe Fuentes. He's been struggling to recover ever since he had that little battle, ever since he had that little spin at the top of the corkscrew. Carlos Lopez C is battling with Davide Ricciardi for the 18th position. Martin Rijman goes around in his GTP. And then for the lead of the GTOs, it's 3 seconds between Noah Lumberg and Henry Morse, with Josh Brain closing in a distant third in about 8/10 back. I say distant because of the traffic. It's really hard to find a place to pass around here in the GTOs when you got the GTPs coming in and out of you all the time.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that Lumberg-Morse battle, because they're matching times at the moment, but they weren't the lap prior. So that's one to keep an eye. Here's Sean Langton, though, as we were looking just there, continuing to battle Pepe, almost having a similar moment as Pepe did the lap before. And they have lost some gap here to Reed and to Grau. And now they're just going to have to hope that they can get on by, as the Santa Maria is the next car of Langton. But he has to decide that's not the right decision from Langton. Loses out there. He knows, and you know, and I know, and everybody watching knows, Audis have to track out. There was no other way Santa Maria was going to get that car tight in. Losing a lot of time before he could go around the outside.
Riding on board with Doug Cloud now. Doug, who's looks like he's got a little bit of dust on that car and a little bit of front end damage. Not the greatest race for Doug Cloud. Unfortunately, 4 seconds behind Joni Hagner, but 7.5 seconds ahead of Joran Van Hicks. So Van Hicks has lost the first challenge. That will be quite the challenge today. He's got about 25 seconds to make up to Noah Lundberg in the lead of the race. Doug Cloud riding on board with him as he goes through the corkscrew. You can see he's hanging on to that car, but he doesn't look like a happy camper today, Craig.
No, I mean, he's a happy camper to us because he's repping the brand with the GSRC. The GTP that just had the moment there, and, well, I mean, hats off to Doug. I would literally be, there we go, I think that's his reaction to Marrakesh right beside him, not his reaction to the car spinning. He kept that pretty cool, calm, and collected, I've got to say. I would have been very, very sketchy there. But, you know, he's keeping it cool because he's from Antarctica, apparently.
The battle between Pepe Fuentes, Ferran Grau, and Sean Langdon has started to heat up. We're looking at that on screen now. This is due to some more lap traffic they're dealing with. Jacob Reed has escaped to about 1.5 seconds ahead of Grau up ahead. So Grau's move at the corkscrew, wow, awesome. Unfortunately, not panning out as far as the race pace is concerned. They've got Tano Bonatti to go around next as we see the battling Sean Langdon next to Gabriel Martinez and Shadi Ahmad, who's joining this battle. So it's now a 4-car train for 4th position.
Yeah, nice little overtake, or tried to make an overtake there, but it was lap traffic and they had to get past Daniel Nance to make that move, and that's going to help out some of these cars. But Langdon still getting under pressure from Gabriel Martinez, and he'd have to put that car in the middle. Not the best of places. Gabriel late braking there. He was not going to try and go around the outside turn 5. That's a very risky move in any sort of car. Tried it, couldn't make it stick, and now here's the important one. This is Benotti. Hey, shout out to Benelsi. He's up 8 places today after starting at the back of the field. They're in 13th position. He gets on by. Gabriel gets on by. Shadi Ahmad doesn't get on by. So now they get bunched. They get split up once again. That's going to be helpful for the man who hails from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Well, not good for him. Here comes Cal Young. These guys are going to be meeting this GTO very soon.
Cal Young with some front-end damage in that machine, and Ian Haycock's battling it out with Cal Young as we continue to watch. Look at this. Jacob Reed this is a moment between himself and some of the other battlers that he was having. That's where the pass happened. Over Grau was just in the final corner. Grau getting caught out by the lapped GTO. Just a little bit hesitant, and that opened the door for Jacob Reed to go by. Speaking of Jacob Reed, he's going by Cal Young and Ian Haycox, as Cal Young was able to make that move down to turn 1.
Yeah, Cal Young made that move into turn 1, and also Perrin lost a little bit of time trying to make a late move into turn 3 on Cal Young, and it's cost him some time to Jacob Reed, and he's getting drawn into Pepe Fuentes. But here's Shadi Ahmad, who's a few corners ahead of him, as he's continuing to try and just find a way, and he keeps getting caught up by traffic here, not having the best of run through traffic. He'll get through Cal Young. Cal doesn't want to see a car side by side going in here again after what happened earlier in the race. But Shadi loses time. Gabri may get held up here by Alvarez, but it's just not looking good for him. And again, I look at this track map, I look at where the cars and where the gaps are. The track's starting to get a little bit spread out here, Adam. I only see a gap between turn 4 and turn 5 now.
Yeah, the drivers are doing pretty well around this track. It's a challenge to maintain positions around here. So you see Carlos Peralta and Jason Ketty go side by side. Ketty losing that position to Peralta. Peralta up to 20th spot now. Here's Brendan Lim, who's tucked in behind Ilka Codosalo, and they're fairly close to Gilligan Gonzalez, Matthias Hovdal, and Fabian Jungbuth. Wow, and I say close, I mean close between these drivers. But yeah, I mean 54 cars around this track. That's a lot of cars, Craig.
I don't even think IMSA nowadays had 54 cars around here. I'll have to have a look, 'cause I know they have the free classes here modern day, but it's very tough. You wouldn't even get 54 Indy cars around here, and that's crazy enough as well around a track like this. So look at the traffic going on. There is a car off in the distance. It's Benotti. Benotti's had a moment. That was the car we saw in the barriers in the distance there on the exit of turn 3. Not sure what's happened to him. There might have been a hardware failure. Another car gone off as well. That's Heinemann having a little bit of a moment as well. So they're just going through a little bit of a destruction derby. They're through the scrapyard at the moment, still trying to find a way. But look at this, 11, 12, 13 from 14, a second and a half between all of them. They are close enough to look at this. There's Gael Gonzalez. He's trying to battle. Fabian Jungwirth's just ahead as well. You could almost put a blanket over 10 to 15 at the back of this lead lap pit pack.
Absolutely, and they're about to catch up to the back of pack of GTOs from 18th on to 9th position. 18th, that would be Uasto Alvarez, who's having some problems today. But the battle for 9th position is Shane Hawkins, Emilio Dettari, and Ian Haycox. They're all wrestling for that position. So these GTPs are about to approach these GTOs through one of the most complex sectors of the course. Let's see how they handle it.
Yeah, this is where they start saying, I'm in danger, and they're going to have to be careful. This is where the gaps could shrink, or the gaps could just blow up. And we'll see how they go on through. Youngbluff's going to get the better run here. Havval's also going to be trying to looking. Havval can't get anywhere. He's going to be right in the back in Gonzalez. And now these cars are going, well, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Is Havval going to make a move here? He will indeed. That has allowed Gonzalez to go through. Youngbluff got held up from Ian Haycox. Ian Haycox now goes for a little bit of a slide there from Havval, and Gonzalez looked to make it free wide there, but no. Thought about it, and God had it, and a spin from Haycock, and an accidental spin from Haycock, and everybody just goes, and a real good save from everybody there, with a car with a lot of damage in the ring from Gonzalez. But apart from that one that had a last second avoidance and couldn't really avoid because of how soon it was, everybody survives that pretty well. And
Ian Haycox is still bottling up the rest of the course as he's trying to recover at this point as we continue to watch Sean Langdon. Sean Langdon in 4th position is battling with Farron Grau up ahead for 3rd. Pepe Fuentes is right on his rear wing as well. So none of these battles separating in the GTPs, that's for sure.
And could you believe that we are 11 minutes and 25, 24, 23 seconds left in this race? It's been chaotic. 17 cars at the GTP still on the lead lap. So half the cars are still on that lead lap for the GTPs, which give our hats off there. Real good, because a lot of that is actually due to pace, not due to incidents. So really good to see for these drivers. Pepe Fuentes, late dive onto Henry Morse to try and make that move. Not talked a lot about Morse. Can't really close that gap to Lundberg. He's got Josh Brain right behind him. But here comes Pepe still looking. Henry Morse, actually, just talking about that, he's got to slow down from the bus stop. He may be in danger of losing this P2. Late dive again from Pepe, and that forces Langton wide, and Langton spins. And Pepe, this is not a Lotus 79. You're going to have to dial it back a little bit, my friend.
He apologizes on the radio and does not take advantage of that overspeed that he had coming off of the corner. Henry Morse did not lose second position to Josh Brain, but did lose a lot of time to Noah Lundberg. Noah Lundberg's lead fairly secured at this point, so if I'm Lundberg, I'm racing in my mirror, just trying to avoid any issues. Pepe Fuentes tucked in underneath Sean Langdon as we watch Christoph Olesniak right now into the 15th position. Olesniak has about a second up the road to Gail Gonzalez, and that entire gap came from the corkscrew. But here is Josh Brain tucked into that third position. He's been challenging Henry Morse for this entire race ever since we had that spin earlier on from Cal Young. So Henry Morse trying to find his way up onto the second step of the rostrum.
Well, let's look what happened to Ian Haycock here. And this was the moment. Oh, was it just, that's just a different one. Was it just taking a bit too much speed? Oh, this is different. Caught into the back of a car, and there was Hawkins also getting collected. You know, he had such a promising start to the season, Hawkins, not been going his way as we watch Josh Brain battle Henry Morse here for this final position. Less than 10 minutes to go, 9.5 minutes left. You got to be looking for opportunity, but more GTPs come on by. Here comes Laus. The Reiter is going to be coming on by. I apologize for that pronunciation. They're going to have to go around the outside, and that's going to hold everybody up. And I think the person who loses out the most is going to be the GTO of Josh Brain.
Yeah, Josh Brain losing a second now to Henry Morse due to the traffic, but Henry Morse still has to deal with the traffic on his apexes and on his exits, so he's not going to be free of it for very long. You know, Ian Haycox is having a bad day when we look at a replay and we say, no, that's not the one I was thinking of. So what an unfortunate day for Ian Haycox to be having that many issues, and looks like not many of them like directly his fault. That one getting into the back of the driver ahead, that is something that usually is preventable. Riding on board the back of Henry Morse as the GTP's trying to find their way around 3 wide. It might be 4 wide into 6. Ooh boy, that was close.
Yeah, that was close. It was the Reiter having a misshift there all of a sudden. Now to come up by Carlos Lopez. This car in front of Henry Morse just had to take a little drive-through. Apology for the hiccups once again, not sure. We've lost Shadi Ahmad as well. Shadi Ahmad is down the order. He is disconnected. And he was running in 7th, and out of nowhere, he's just gone. Nowhere to be found on the track. I don't think there was an incident. It was a literal, yeah, he's back. It's a disconnect issue there as we watch Carlos Lopez, first car so far in the race, to take a drive-through.
Taking a look at the battle between Carlos Lopez. Carlos Lopez in that 24th position, under some heavy pressure right now from Tommy DeRuiter. Ruder doing a good job hanging on to that position as well. Sorry, I stand corrected. It's Daniel Nans who's in that number 42 machine. As Carlos Lopez has come through the pits for a drive-through already, 21.6 seconds on the clock for him. The only other GTPs to have done it, Andre Felipe Diaz and Tommy DeRuiter, who just went through the pits. So these 3 drivers are the ones who already have slowdowns, and they're going to have to be careful. Shadi Ahmad now in the pits. He's going to take full service because of the way that the disconnect worked. As you can see, Valenteus piping in the fastest lap of the day, a 1:10.1, and I believe that is the fastest lap of the week as well in race pace.
Oh, he's had the fastest lap of the race of the week, full stop. A 1:10.679 was the fastest lap this week in racing. So, yeah, he's got it. I'm also looking to keep our eyes on Shane Hawkins, continue to battle Emilio De Chari. Emilio De Chari leading the GTO lights, or the GTUs. But let's talk about that GTO championship, because it's gotten pretty interesting now, because Van Hicks, well, he's in 8th. I don't think he's going to get many points for this. Mickey Friesen's in 4th. He's not going to get many. But Noah Lundberg would get another victory. And he's only got 6 races counted, where the other drivers will have to start to see, I apologize for that, we'll have to start to see some drop weeks. This could be a late surge for Lundberg in the championship.
Unfortunately for Lundberg, it's only a 12-point swing between 8th position and the lead, as we have a nice battle here with Emilio Shane and Cal Young all tucked in with one another going through the corkscrew. Look at how tight they are, and they've got a lot of GTPs behind. This could get spicy.
Yeah, they're just saying, please wait, please wait. Pepe Fuentes will go by. Gabriel Martinez will go by. Shane has to just wait. And this allows Gabriel to get a really good run. And Gabriel knew it. And Pepe also knew it as well. He's got that ability to know. As Emilio just goes on by. Pepe still trying to defend. Gabriel, he gets real limber when he comes into braking or looks for a move. He's almost got that Lewis Hamilton moment there. And you can see that Pepe has to go on defense. And really, is there any corner that's better to take the inside line and just counter anything? Yeah, it's definitely the Andretti hairpin. Real good moves there from Pepe Fuentes.
Gabriel Martinez chasing down Pepe Fuentes for the 5th position. Pepe doing a good job of staying up ahead of Gabriel Martinez at this stage of the race, and Gabri really just struggling to maintain those positions, just losing a couple here and there. But Pepe and Gabri have been together for quite a few laps at this point. Andre Felipe Diaz into the pits with some major damage in that GTP. He's been in there for a minute and 30 seconds at this stage. Noah Lundberg, though, continues to extend his gap in the lead of the field, 6 seconds over Henry Morse at this stage, as we watch Shane Hawkins in that sandwich between Emilio Dechari and Cal Young as they come up to the corkscrew with the GTP deciding to say hello.
Yeah, Shadi and Mad, I think Shadi and Mad, I'm not going to blame Shadi and Mad here. He's driving angry because he's just had a disconnect. I've been there. We've all been there. You have a disconnect and there's a little bit of aggression there. You want to just start hurrying on. He's down in 21st position right now. That might be the only position he gets. He's 2 seconds ahead of Brandon White, behind Brandon White. May get something, but a lock up there from Shane Hawkins. This is going to open the door for Cal Young. He had a little bit of a slide. And Cal, I mean, I know you're driving a modified here, but I don't know what you can do with the power because there's not a lot of power here. And you can see he's struggling on the straight. This is a survival race now from Cal. It went from bad to worse to worser, and it could be the worstest.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Cal Young, no front end means that he's going to be relying on the drivers ahead for draft, but he's clearly faster on race pace than Shane Hawkins. He's going to make the pass, but unfortunately, with no front end, he's just down on power. Shane has to wait behind as Jason Ketty goes by in the GTP. But Cal Young, much quicker through the corners than Shane Hawkins, but Shane Hawkins has all the horsepower left in that machine.
Well, yeah, if you've got no nose, it's no longer a cheese wedge. It's no longer a washing machine or a refrigerator. So you take a little bit of speed or a Zamboni, you take a little bit of that away, and you start to get some aero. You start to get a little bit of aero to help plant the car down. So that's going to help it. This is Valenteus. We haven't talked a lot about Valenteus after the incident with Jacob Reed. 14 seconds now is the gap, and he's doing really well to just drive. You know, it's like that Rihanna song, shut up and drive.
It's been as high as 16 seconds out there for Valenteus, so he's just playing gap maintenance at this point to Jacob Reed, and Jacob is all out trying to catch his way back up to the front of to the back of Valenteus in that cheese wedge. Noah Lundberg riding around that concrete mixer in the lead of the GTOs right now, 7.5 seconds clear of Henry Morse. Noah Lundberg has not slowed down today.
No, Noah Lundberg, ever since he got that away from Cal Young after the moment there, he's just been head down and just pushing. And this is a vintage Noah Lundberg drive as Carlos Peralta takes a tow now in the
money shift from Peralta.
Money shift from Peralta. Wow, we haven't seen that a lot. And oh my word, Emilio Dechari almost just got caught off there from Carlos Lopez, and they're all banging and banging together. And Dechari's gone around. No, he saved it. We've got to get that on replay at one point because Dechari's just saved that car from disaster as we keep watching Sean Langton.
Absolutely, it was 3 wide on the exit of 5, and Dechari gets into it. Here it is on the exit of 5. A little bit of bump from the outside pushes him into the GTP, and watch Emilio Dechari drive. The rally heritage of the Audi GTO, that all-wheel drive, saving that machine. Look at him survive that thing and put it well through turn 6. Fantastic job, and he's only lost about half a second to Cal Young.
Yeah, and this is the man who's lost some time as well. Baron Grau trying to battle to Sean Langton as we see another GTP go by. And Langton, no way is he going to do this around the outside at 6. He waits about it. Josh Brain now up ahead. And I think that was a mistake from Langton once again. As I like to say, mistake from drivers, because you don't go around the outside of 6. You set yourself up for the corkscrew at 7, 8, and 8A. And unfortunately, he's lost some time there making that. And with this being the second to last lap, late dive into Stephanie Leslie from Farron Grau. You can see who's being aggressive right now. Farron is under pressure.
Absolutely, and another driver being aggressive right now is Gabriel Martinez as he's making his dive. Andres Valenteus has started what is going to be the penultimate lap of this race. He took the flag with enough time for there to be more time, but look at this. Gabriel Martinez knows that this is closing in, tries to go for that outside move again. Craig, I have not seen that work today.
I've not seen that work today. I've not seen that work last month. I've not seen that work last season. I saw it 3 seasons ago. Work for one of my teammates in a radical race. You don't make an overtake around the outside of the Andretti hairpin, and Gabriel Martinez has tried. And I tell you what, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. Gabri has to try and look for something different. He's not even setting up an over-under. That would help him. He's almost just trying to make that move stick so many times. I think this time, if I'm Gabri, I try and set for that over-under for the final lap.
Valenteus is going to come across the line to start the white flag lap this time. Just making sure that that is actually the case, and it looks like it is. So Valenteus is going to be starting that white flag, so he's got 13 seconds back to Jacob Reed. And no, I believe the race might be over. Oh, it is the final lap. It is the final lap for Valenteus.
Yeah, it is the final lap. In fact, what it was Jacob Reed crossing the line after 40 minutes, but the leader had not seen, just saw the white flag, so that is it. Is the brake disc start to heat up there. He's just got a nice run. Stephanie Leslie in for a drive-through as well. I do wonder what's happening to Sean Langton and Farron Grau, and also Pepe Cuesta and Gabriel Martinez. Gabriel didn't heed my advice, and he decided to not try to go around the outside. And everybody is now still in single file, waiting for their opportunities as Valenteus just has one more trip around the corkscrew.
Yeah, waiting for your opportunities. There aren't going to be many more of those, considering the fact that this is the final lap of the race. But Valenteus, smooth and clean throughout the day. Had to deal with some traffic that slowed him down, but has been able to maintain that 13-second gap over Jacob Reed ever since Jacob Reed got that damage on the right side that's been hampering his straight line speed. But Valenteus off the final corner, doing what he does best, being an alien in everything he drives, and he's going to take home the win today.
He will take home the win, and I'm keeping my eyes on any of the last battles here. Jacob Reed will get that P2. And then we've got to look to see who gets that P3, because I think Langton gets held up from Foreman Pollock coming into the final corner, and that would be all she wrote for that battle. Grau will take the P3, unless there's a spin here. There is not. And Gabriel Martinez could not find a way past Pepe Fuentes, and it's going to end like that for those drivers. Great driving all around there, and now we just wait to see Noel Lundberg come across the line. And after that mistake from Young, and it was all Lundberg, he will put himself back in the championship contention, you've got to feel, as he gets his victory around Laguna Seca.
And Henry Morris taking home second position. A fantastic drive from him. Henry's been improving all season long, and Josh Brain up to third position as well. A great finish from him. I expect to see Henry and Josh in victory lane shortly in this series. Mickey Friesen comes home with the fourth position. I think he's going to be disappointed with that one. Phil Lake with a solid fifth to mark the fact that he has improved a lot over the past season. As you can see, Doug Cloud, well, he almost has a convertible in that machine if that clip doesn't last much longer. But Doug, I think this is going to be a race he's going to want to forget.
Well, I think it got a bit too hot in Antarctica for him, and I think he may just going to have to go and cool down with the penguins, or penguins are in Antarctica. Cool down with something there in the ice in Antarctica. I'll work out where I am in the world.
And while Craig works out where he is in the world, we're going to work out who won this race, and it's pretty easy to figure that out from who started in second and finished in first. It's Andres Valenteus, our winner of this race. Jacob Reed getting into it a little bit with one of the GTOs, finishes in second position, and then it's Farron Grau who comes home in a very solid third spot. Sean Langdon battling with Farron, just fell afoul of a little bit of the traffic into the final corners, couldn't put a challenge on Farron Grau into the final corner, comes home in fourth position. Pepe Fuentes comes home in fifth after Gabriel Martinez failed to pass around the outside of the Andretti hairpin for the last 6 laps. Seamus Power comes home in a solid 7th position, giving his started position down in about 15th. Last Olsen, also a great top 10 finish. This has been one of his best navigations of a complex and very packed field in a while. Matthias Hovdahl, rejoining the series, comes home in a 9th position, with Fabian Inbluth rounding out the top 10. Ilka Kodasalo starts off the next page in 11th position, with Brendan Lim coming home in 12th position. Not the race that he was hoping for, only up 3 positions. Christoph Lesniak in 13th spot, with Gail Gonzalez in 14th. Davide Ricciardi in 15th position. 1 lap down, joining Gail Gonzalez. Carlos Fonseca, Martin Rijman, Shady Ahmad, Brandon White, Stefan Leslie, and Carlos Lopez C in 21st position. Another driver, the first driver 2 laps down, is Daniel Nans. Joining him is Jason Ketty, Jacob Mayo, Mark Geller, and Tommy DeRuiter. And then we have the drivers who had big problems: Carlos Peralta, Felipe Diaz, McCreesh, Hughes, Suarez, Bajin, and Alvarez.
Well, it ain't going to be that chaotic for the GTOs. We haven't got 33 cars to go for. We've got 21 cars to go. And the first of them is Noah Lumberg, who wins with 6 seconds ahead of Henry Morse. And then Josh Brain will be in third. Mickey Friesen will be fourth. And then Philip Lake will take fifth with Yoni Hagner in sixth. After that spin, he still finished where he started in sixth. And then up 10 places for Johan Van Hicks. Great recovery into seventh. Doug Cloud will be eighth. Then Cal Young finishes a lap down to the leaders in ninth. Milo Tachari gets that top 10 once again for the GTU champion. Shane Hawkins will be down 3 places to 11th. Ian Haycock's down 2 to 12. And Jamie Hamill-Smith will make 3 up to 13. Baldwin Pollock will be in 14th with Tim Gaudry in 15th. A lap down and then 2 laps down is Estorzio Alvarez. And then the retirees or damage. Richard Hyman in 17th. Bruno Santamaria had retired earlier in 18th. Cano Benotti was 19th. And then Andrew Lopez will be 20th. And we've got to say it, I do apologize. I never saw it happen. But Aitor Sintes Galindo, the first retiree, unfortunately down in 21st position.
Well, Craig, this has been an intense race. I think, honestly, any driver who made it to the end without having a drive-through or having significant damage has got to feel pretty proud of themselves today. 54 cars out there at Laguna Seca. There's not a lot of room out there to deal with anything, and there were many cars off track throughout the day.
And it's still crazy. It feels like it was one of the cleanest mass grid races we've had for a long time. I think just due to the fact that a lot of the spins and a lot of the incidents were self-caused out there today. Shout out to Tachari's save once again. We couldn't actually look at that very much, but to try and save a car almost going sideways in the gravel is very tough. So that was good to see as well. But next week, we do go to Gilles Villeneuve. So we go from this, it's still like the same pace track, but it's going to be a little bit tighter. And I do worry about those chicanes for the drivers.
It's tighter, but it's a little bit less turn. You turn less in the car for that track. There are more straightaways, more time to be thinking about your moves, more time to set up some moves. I've seen races there be very clean. I've also seen them be very punchy. So it'll be interesting to see what style of drivers show up next week there at Gilles Villeneuve. And I'll be very curious to see how the drivers handle it. But that's going to finish us out for our race today. Thanks to the IMSA Vintage Cheers for bringing us on for another season. And also thanks to the team this week. That's Craig, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store, hopefully in the future. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As we mentioned, the next race is in Montreal. That's next weekend, August 30th at 1 p.m. Eastern. But next up for GSRC, that's the Sunday Grand Prix Series at Barcelona. That's tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, and you don't want to miss that one. And also don't miss the other races that are shown here on your screen. We hope you've enjoyed joining us today as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you. We hope to see you back again soon, but until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.